Hey, I'm Janos. I'm co-CEO and founder of Fluffy Fairy Games. Fluffy Fairy Games, we're a pretty new company based in Berlin, just 2 years old. We're doing idle mobile games. It's going pretty good so far. We have like 40 plus people working at the company right now. Still looking for new talent to do more games, more awesome games, and to support our current games. Those are the current ones. So you might have heard of Idle Miner Tycoon or of Idle Factory Tycoon. Just out of curiosity, anybody played one title here? Oh, I see there's still a bit of potential left. So right now we have like 50 million downloads. Oh, those are the numbers for like last year, December. So 50 million downloads at all. 9 million monthly active users, and kind of like 10 million of revenue for last year. So for us as a company, with those two titles, it's going pretty good. Idle Miner Tycoon is still like in hidden soft launch, so it's not under our Fluffy Fairy Games account, but you might seen it in the App Store. So today I want to talk about like fast and agile development and like lean approach to games. So a bit of history. When we first released Idle Miner Tycoon, it was July 2016, just after like 2 months of development with just 5 guys. Back then sitting in my student apartment. But since then, like, we grew a lot in terms of revenue and also in terms of like size of the team. All in all, we did like 40 updates in that time, and we really expanded the game with like new content, new mechanics, better graphics, all that. And we call our approach to gaming as games as a service. So usually when other studios develop a game, it's like 2 years of development, then put it out of the market, and then maybe doing like now and then a live event or something like that. What we do is like really pushing it and expanding the game week by week, games as a service, as I said. So what kind of process are we using for that? It's called lean development. So basically, it's the idea comes from Eric Ries, the Lean Startup. So who heard of that book before? Okay, who actually read it? Okay, so maybe that's a new topic for you guys. So Eric Ries, I guess he wrote the book kind of like 2011 or something. Keep always in mind, like, games are a hit-driven business, and the faster you can find out, okay, this game doesn't work, the lower are the costs for a new game. And like, all in all, the message is that the most important thing in the whole lean development thing is to say no to lots of stuff, right? And this might seem obvious, but in reality, it's pretty hard. So when we first started the game, we just like had 5 guys, right? So not so much engineering power, almost no money. And so it was like, okay, let's don't do high quality 3D assets, because we couldn't do it. We also started with no social features, because they don't matter if you have like just a basic game. No localization. So it was just English back then. Now we support like 20 languages, but it's still something that comes way later in a game development circle. No in-app purchases, so we didn't make money in the first few weeks with in-app purchases because they're like just not relevant to test if the game works or not. No ad mediation. This is also something I saw that many developers think about, but it's something for like way later stage. No long-term motivation. So when we released the app, it was fun for like 3 days, and then it's like just nothing to do, right? But it was enough to to just see that people like the game or to see that people don't like the game. And yeah, no cloud save. So people lost their game when they uninstalled it or switched devices. That was really a pain in the first few weeks. And like what we really believe is that in a game, what matters the most is the core gameplay, and we think you can measure the core gameplay with day one retention. So we had like 75 with Idle Miner Tycoon. We kind of have like 70 with Idle Factory Tycoon, and this is like normally there's much BS in the whole retention metrics stuff, but this is US organic. So we didn't fish for like the super good users. It's just like the organic baseline. And we believe that everything else can be polished later. So if you're doing a game and start a game, you should really focus on the first few days and assure that's a good retention. Like those 70–75%, that is quite high. This is also due to like the genre. It's an idle clicker genre. So games tend to be like a bit higher on those genres with the retention. So how to do it? So our update policy is like, okay, one update means one sprint, and then means 1 week, basically. Sometimes it's like 4 days, sometimes it's like 6–7 days, but more or less we try to aim for like 5 days. And this means also like you have to plan the sprint, you have to develop it and to test it just in like a few days. We use for like new updates some kind of Scrum with very small cycles, like 1 week. That means, okay, we have the game designers. They usually work ahead of it. We have game artists, so they try to produce assets for features before the developers start coding, so everything is ready. Normally you have to do like one or another adjustment, but you really need to do it like before you actually start. And then of course we have the dev team. And normally in those companies, it's the resource that's pushing really ahead. And those guys should not be blocked by any other team. And should really focus on developing, not like, don't know, do office stuff or anything else. And then of course QA. QA has to start testing during the development to find those bugs, and not just like on the end of the sprint, because then everything else gets slowed down. Yeah, so this is Ruben. He has this crown on, and the picture was taken when he was critical path. So he's like the person in the project, in the game. He needs to finish because like everybody else can't work without him, and it's really important to find that person or to find the team that's now the critical path and try to accelerate it, because like those guys need to accelerate, or the project will be delayed, the update will be delayed. What's also important is like the single piece workflow idea. So it's really important to focus just on one task. This is, for example, Jira in the background. So every developer has one task, and he's like developing it, testing it, and then it's finished. When we started the company, it was often like people developing on like 3–4 tickets, or it's like, okay, I'm developing this ticket, do the testing later and develop the next ticket. That also slows you down, right? If you multitask stuff, if you do tasks at a later stage, if you don't focus on testing right now but do it later, that will slow you down. Also, another great thing in the whole like development cycle is when we do an update once a week, we always started with Android, because there's like this stage rollout thing. So we start with like 1 or 5%, depending on the update, how critical it is, just to test like, is it technically okay? So we see bugs very early with our reporting tool. We use Crashlytics for it, mainly Crashlytics. Then like 1 or 2 days later, we're going up for 20%, and watch out for feedback from the players. If you did like a bad update because we designed anything, we designed something wrong or didn't thought about something because of like bad mechanics or something like that. And then normally, like after 4 days, we're at 100% on Android. So we see, okay, this is technically stable. People love the update, and now we're going 100%. And then we also release on iOS. So it's a bit later on iOS, but they don't have the stage rollout thing. Like another very important part is to be very, very player-centric and to connect to players. I mean, like, there's easy tools to do that. We try to reply to every message we get on Google Play or on the App Store. Normally, those guys give really good feedback. So he was like, please make some sort of research to make progress faster. And it was in the early days, and we did like some sort of research lab to those suggestions. Also, like Facebook is a very good channel to connect to players and get their feedback. For example, this guy was like, create a system where you can send an order of coal. This one we actually didn't do, but it's a test case for potential hires for an engineering position. And of course, like we're getting, I guess the community manager said to me last week, 1 mail per minute on for Idle Miner Tycoon, and it says like, in this mail, make more islands and let us go to space. So I mean, it's like a legit comment. So of course we did more islands then, and a space event mine will come I guess next week. And then also like we get all those like qualitative feedback messages on Facebook, emails, ratings on Google Play, on the App Store. And then we, like once a week, we aggregate that information in a more quantitative way. So for example, here we have like close to 400 reports, and most of those reports say, okay, there's like a reset issue, people lose their save game. And the average rating is like 1.63, I guess, should be the number. So this is a problem that many people have, and that really is bad for our rating overall. So this is a thing we should take care of. Yeah, and then we see like how is all that distributed. Okay, this was my short presentation about how we do lean development and how we do our development cycle. I'm happy to ask any questions you might have had. Okay, thank you.
Questions, anyone? Hello. You talk about the fact that multi-testing development is going to slow down the process, and that we should develop and QA immediately. How do you organize the workflow of your QA? So do you have dedicated QA always available, and is there enough work for them? How do you balance that?
So we try that every developer tests like their stuff. After they write the code, they do testing, and then in parallel we always have like a dedicated QA team. So that's important. Yeah.
Any other questions? Oh, yeah.
Hey,
I don't know if you can say anything about that, but how does, because you have ads and you have e-apps, how does that kind of split up with your user base, since it's quite of a casual game? And
You mean like how many people show, like?
Yeah, like out of all of your revenue from ads and e-apps, how does that kind of split up between both of them?
Yeah, so it's kind of like 50 to 55% ads in terms of revenue. So we are a bit more heavy on ads, but that's because ads, to implement ads or to design a mechanic behind ads is way more easier to design like a whole in-app purchase economy.